Welcome back. My name is David Blissett. Today is the 4th of November 2022, and this is the first take at looking to set up some surveys. Essentially, what we have on the right here is just a copy of the values for the eConsult baseline survey, which we've got here. But we're not going to load that up at the moment. What we're looking to do is prove the entire end-to-end workflow for survey generation. And yeah, let's just get into it, shall we? So essentially what we have is the values that will make up the survey, right? So essentially the questions and the responses that need to be answered by the persons who are actually carrying out the survey themselves. So we're going to click on Add Survey. Okay, so that's the very first test. If you click on that button and it doesn't work, then that means that there's a problem, right? So we're going to call this end-to-end survey test, and then we're going to say save. There we go. So that's the second test. Now let's drill into it. What we have here is a default page and a thank you page. A thank you page cannot be edited. We don't want it edited. This is just a part of the survey that helps it to function. Right. Okay. So rather than just making small talk, sorry. Let's just quickly actually start to go through this. There are roughly 23 questions. The first thing we want to do here is change the page name. So that's going to be practice details. Right. Right. That still calls it default page. Is that right? All right. Let's do it again. I'm sure I hit the save button there and just put it in there. Right. Must have clicked on the wrong thing there. Right. Let's just actually refresh the page just to make sure that the values hit the database. Clearly that is the case because the values come back. So the next thing here to do is add a question. So there's a question here that requires a date response. So what we want to do here is go to the question type, select date. This is the question, and that's as much as that specific question requires. We'll be using the other and comment choice fields later on, and in some instances we can even actually make the question required. A matter of fact, I'll mark this one as required, and if there's an error, i.e. as they're doing the survey they've not specified what the date is, we're going to say must have a date value, right? And that's how we make that field required, right? And so question 1 complete, 22 to go, right? So the next one that we're going to have down here is the contact details, right? So go ahead, click on that. This is not a comment essay. This is going to be a multi-answer. Right, and this one, no, multi-answer, not in this instance, multiple text boxes. That's right. So, right, we have text boxes there, and so let's capture the values. So the first one's going to be name, then from there job title, then from there the email, and then finally the contact number. Okay, so that's as much as we required. There is no other field required, so we hit save, and things are coming along nicely. Right, so the whole idea of doing this exercise is just to prove that all the stated functionality for survey creation actually functions. Okay, so the next question here is the practice name. So it's going to be quite similar to the previous one. So that's going to be multiple text boxes. Actually, no, that is not the case. In this instance, we want one answer. So it's multiple choice, and we want to specify drop-down list. Okay, very important. So there are roughly 130 plus practices, but this is just a test. Okay, so we're only going to add a few of the practices. The whole idea here is if you add 2 or 130, it's the same principle. Okay, but we just want to be able to demonstrate that the controls work and that the system is stable. Okay, so we just quickly capture these values here, and again making sure that they're all unique, i.e. do not add them twice. The system will continue to function if you add them twice, but it's not helpful having the same practice multiple times. And one more. Okay, so that's question 3. A matter of fact, I'm gonna mark this as a required field, so practice required. Selection required. Okay, and so we save that one. There we go. So, all right, so 3 questions so far. Now the next thing we need is another page altogether. So insert page here, and so I will go ahead and I will mark this here, and I'll just have a page description. Okay, so page 1, page 2, and thank you page is page 3. So that's another test that's been passed. Right, so let's add a question. So this question here is gonna be here, right? And it's a yes/no response. So that's going to be it's going to be radio boxes, I think, because we only want one answer. So that's going to be radio buttons, and the first one's going to be yes, and the next one's going to be no. Okay, and we'll say that. All right, yes, no. Next question on is the online. Okay, so that follows on from that one. And again, it's a yes/no response, so that's going to be multi-choice, only one answer. It's radio boxes. Yes, no are the options. Let's see if we have a requirement for other fields. No other fields required here. Must add. Okay, save. Okay, so that's for is your online consultation. So the next one on is this one here. Okay, again, is this a yes, no? Yes, no. So that should be straightforward. Yes. No. And then we save. Again, very similar process, just carrying on. Is this a yes, no? Matter of fact, the next couple are yes, no's only. So it's just a bit more rinse and repeat. I'm only carrying on through the exercise just to prove the process is functioning. Yes, no. Okay. So this here is, do you use eConsult long-term consultation? Alright, so this is the next one following on from that. And again, this is a yes, no. And we will go ahead and save that. So we're roughly at the halfway mark. So as you can tell, the process itself, as long as you have the questions and you know what it is that you want to complete, whether or not you have it in Word already or Excel. It should be really straightforward to get the process up and running. Have you added? Okay. Yes. No. Obviously, there are other types of questions that we want to ask, but for this specific survey, I think, do we cover off on each question type? So far, we've asked for a date. We have a drop-down list with the practices, and we have radio boxes as well. We're already answering. We have pages, page generation as well. Apologies for that there with the prompt. Should have closed down Outlook before starting. Yes, no. Again, we must be complete because this is more like evidence to prove a process. We've just gone through extensive end-to-end testing, regression testing, integration testing, and so this is the first time on the back of that we're actually doing this specific kind of recording. And the whole idea here is it's perceived that we've solved all the bugs in the system, and so the only way to clarify that and make sure that that is the case is literally to go through and get this recorded. Yes, no field again. A lot of yes, no's. It might be helpful for Louise's team to have the developers add a auto yes no. It's like something that's done so often that it'd be handy just to have a drop down to say make this a yes no question as well. Just trying to be careful, make sure we get this right the first time on each occasion. So this and one more yes no. Also the idea that the practices are in the database. Why should she have to enter every single practice on every survey? That's one thing that's been discussed. It's been put on the yes nice to have pile that the delivery manager requested that we build. So whoever is going to be maintaining this further, note to self, please add a practice list. Okay, so is that the last one? One more. I'm trying very hard not to make any mistakes here. Okay, so this is, I think, the last yes, no, maybe? Okay, only this one. Yes, no. And save. Right, so the next one here is text boxes. No, this is check boxes. I think this one is going to be. So multiple answer checkbox format. That's one. That's two. 3. So we've been working on this system now for just over 12 months or so in terms of like coding effort. There we go, checkboxes added. So I think we've done the full gambit as far as the different question types. But yeah, just to get through another set of yes, no fields. Okay, so from there, right, so now we have, right, 4 more questions to answer. So this is going to be inserting a page. Could put a larger description in there if need be. Work plan, items. So go ahead and add that one in. Okay, so this is going to be multiple text boxes. So that's 1. 2. I would always recommend that you have the information already typed up in a separate program so that you could just migrate the information across. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from just doing it on the fly. But as you can tell here, you know, doing it offline gives you the ability to kind of spell check everything as before you start. I know that I create a lot of files every day to upload to Trello, and there's no spell checker as you're typing things up. So every now and then you have a bit of a typo. Again, trying to be very careful, don't want to make mistakes here. Almost complete. 2 more questions to go. Okay, so in this instance we want a other answer choice, and we want to specify that's going to be just simply called other, and let's test this out. We want to make sure that that's required, so not the question being required here, but only the other field. So you must supply information in the other field. Okay, and again, that's just to kind of test out some of the features as we're going. Wouldn't want to see that cause us any issues there. Okay, so is that how that's supposed to look? Let's double check that. So I'm going to come in here and edit that. Okay, so in this instance we've added that as multiple boxes, but that's fine. That's not what we should have entered. Once you've added that, you can't change that, right? So how? Okay, let's use this as a scenario. How would we go about getting rid of that? I'm going to try deleting it. I want to delete that. All right. Okay, so that appears to have worked, which is fantastic. He says. Again, we've not tested this in a recording before, and definitely delete is not something that I test quite often. So again, let's just be careful this time. So it's multiple answers, This time it's checkboxes, right? So if what comes up this time doesn't come up as text as a checkbox, then we know we have a bug, okay? But that should not be the case. So we're just gonna quickly copy these across. I have text message, NHS app message. So we've tested delete as well, and delete functions. Now once the survey itself is published, editing and doing even things like deleting are no longer allowed, because the idea here is you've published and you're capturing responses from, it could be the practice, it could be the public, and if you were to change the question, you're changing the context of the information. And if you delete, well, maybe you're now getting rid of information that's being used in a calculation or something of that nature. So that is why you have to get this right up front. And if you do, for one reason or another, after publishing, need to change anything, you should have the clone feature available to you to be able to clone an existing survey. Yeah. But we'll cover off on that in another video. And we want an other field. We won't make this required again. There we go. Excellent. 3 more to go. Okay. Make sure we get it right. One answer only. No, multiple choice. Check boxes. That's right. And we have an other, and we save. Okay, 2 more to go. Multiple answers, check boxes, that's correct. Okay, again we add the other field, and then we save. And now the final question for this specific survey. Make sure to hit the add button Now again, idea here is that the request has come through to bring this this work that's been done by myself in-house, so it can be extended and maintained going forward by the internal software developers. So even the way how the data is being captured here now, there are maybe there could be a better way of doing things. And so it's for the business to understand if something is not working the way you want it. So yes, you can capture the values, but you probably want to do some additional data capture, but different to how it's currently being done. You should feel more than happy to make a request to the in-house software developers and get them to implement that feature for you. Okay, so there you go. Let's see how long this recording so far. Okay, that's 26 minutes. So it's 1 minute per question in theory, right? So if you need to author, 3 or 4 surveys a day, that's very possible, provided again you're happy with this, like cutting and pasting from a side document. So that's the generation of the survey. The next step that we need to do is publish the survey so it can be distributed. And another thing you should be able to do is preview the survey. So let's just expand this now, and let's make sure this is still recording. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to hit the preview button. Okay, so this gives you the ability to kind of sense check what things look like, whether or not you've got all the questions and responses that you need, but you're not capturing values because we've not associated this survey with a practice just yet. Okay, so there's page 2 and then page 3. All right, and we can go back, go forward, and we've completed the preview of the survey. And so the next thing that we want to do is publish the survey, which is straightforward as hitting the publish survey button. Publish yes, no. That should take a second, and that process is now complete. And so the next thing from there is that we're going to want to be able to distribute this survey to a practice, right? I'm going to stop the video here because when we send the survey out, it's not like I'm going to call the practice and ask them to press the button or go into the email and find the hyperlink to come back into the system. I'm going to need to do some jiggery-pokery to actually capture the hyperlink itself, so I can pretend I'm the practice and come back into the system. Actually, let's quickly send a survey. So in this instance, Antry Park. So something that's really important that you understand is that whoever is going to turn up here in this listing is going to be the primary contact at the practice. So that's the actual practice, and I'm going to hit this button here. Now that's my email address, and so that's how I'm going to circumvent and be able to capture the hyperlink. But before we do that, let's just quickly step through what we have in front of us here. The campaign start date and end date, you're okay to go ahead and edit these values to any value you like. And then what template? So in the administration section, you can go through, and I'll show you that in a second. But let's preview these, and these are dummy templates at the moment. So this is not to say these are the only templates you can have. This is just more to provide technical guidance on what the survey might look like, considering that you need to augment the email template with these tags, but that's again a separate process. These are pre-made dummy templates just to aid in the development, right? And so you can see here the survey name, the practice contact name, required by, which ties back into the campaign start and end date, the actual survey name. And so that lets us know this is how that's going to look. You cannot edit this here, and you're not supposed to. If you need to edit, or you need to speak with somebody who is aware of how the email templates work and how to set them up. And again, that's here, but I don't want to move away from this screen. Again, you can preview. There's another button here. So we have two, it doesn't really matter, right? But I can't edit this here. So if I try and type in anything, I can't change that. Okay, and then I'm going to close that out. And so because I'm already in this listing, I have the ability to hit this button. So when I hit this button, it doesn't send the email directly, it just goes into a queue. And so that's where I'm going to go to capture the value or the hyperlink that will then allow us to get back into the system. So yeah, you know what? I'm going to do everything in the same video. It'll just be too much work otherwise. Okay, so I'm just quickly doing something that you would never, almost never, ever have to do. So there's a hyperlink, right? But I want to actually show the technical aspect as well. So the developers, they can kind of think about how they'd want to do it. All right, so I'm going to go back here and I am going to do a bit of jiggery pokery here just to be able to make sure that I can get that email hyperlink. All right, so every minute or so this process will run in the background, and so I'm now going to send that email. So that's now queued, and roughly a minute from now that process should come back and give me the ability to capture the information that I need to be able to send the email. Again, you don't normally have to do this. This is just because I'm doing this offline and I want to know what the hyperlink is. So this is where I'm going to get the data from when it comes back through. Very much a one-off exercise. Don't have to do this every time. There we go. 60 seconds go by so quickly. Okay. So this here, if I look on that, so there you go, David, end-to-end test survey, the email. So everything's been replaced quite nicely, which is just a good thing. Okay, but what I want is going to be down here somewhere. So set this here. Okay, that's wonderful. So the screen has frozen and I can't actually make any changes here. So we're going to pause the video at this point, and I'm going to pick things back up in a second or two. All right, so let's actually, I'm going to have to stop the video. Okay, so we just had the development environment, what we call Visual Studio IDE, freeze while I was debugging the code. So my apologies for that. We're just going to kind of pick things up from that point there. So again, where we left off, we were waiting for the email process to kind of wake up. It does that every minute, and once that process starts up again, I'll be able to continue the actual demonstration. So what we're waiting on at the moment is literally just the hyperlink to be generated for us. So because the recording software that I'm using is on a different machine, yeah, we just need to go through this exercise. My apologies for that. So literally this will take 60 seconds. So let's just refresh. What I have here is the database, and I'm just trying to get an idea as to what's going on in the background. So at the moment here, the very last request has started at 11:51, so that is now 12:08. So I just need to reset that, right? Okay, just put a comma here. I just typed this script up in the last couple of minutes there. Right, so I've just reset it. So is in progress and is completed successfully has been reset. So now this process in the background should be able to just query and say what's outstanding, what do I need to process, right? And so we're just literally waiting for that next 60 seconds to time out, and there we go, right? So now just stepping into this bit of logic here, and specifically I want to know where this is being generated. So I'm going to put a breakpoint here, F5, and see what happens here, right? So again, all of this is in the background. You don't have to worry about what I'm actually doing here. This is just a very much a kind of one-off exercise. So there's my hyperlink that I need, and I'm just going to quickly grab it. All right, and then I'm going to let this process here carry on. I don't need to again, I could view what the actual email is going to look like. So we know it's not smoke and mirrors. So end-to-end test, David, and the rest of the email as we demoed earlier. So I don't want it to actually send this out. So I'm just going to come down to the bottom here and set the next statement. And is it frozen? All right, we don't care if it freezes this time because we have the hyperlink. Whatever it's doing, I know I can circumvent that now. So there's my hyperlink. I'm just going to quickly edit this. Get rid of that. Okay, right. So that's the hyperlink. So normally this would actually read like digital optimization, NHS UK or something. But I'm on my local machine, right? And yeah, this is frozen. No, is it? No, it's not. It's just running really slow. So that exercise is now completed, and I'm just going to turn off all breakpoints so we don't get disturbed for the rest of the exercise. So I can prove that that has now completed because if I come in here and execute that query again, it says it's no longer in progress, and is completed successfully has been set to 1, and I don't need to worry about this anymore because I have the hyperlink. So now I want to go back to the user interface, right? And I'm just going to quickly grab that hyperlink. And I'm just going to put that in here. You won't have to do this. You'll have your email and you'll be able to carry on as required. It is loading the survey for a long time. I'll give it a couple more seconds. Yeah, that was a bit worrying. It's again, we don't want any kind of errors. That's the whole purpose of the end-to-end test. Wow. I wasn't expecting that to take so long. So, right, let's get back to it. So this is the actual doing of the survey. Right? Now, this is section 1. Practice details. If I hit this button, if none of the questions are required, I'll go to the next page. Otherwise, I'll be notified what must be edited. And here we go. These are mandatory, right? So I'm just going to quickly come in here and enter just any random values. Okay. If I enter a faulty value and try to, it's going to tell me no, invalid year, right? And again, this was all part of the testing exercise. No, that's not valid either. Whoops. How about 101 days? No, that's not good. So again, this is all part of just the standard testing, right? And it wants a selection. Now, I don't know if I've tested yet, but I believe it was entry. And again, this doesn't tie back to the actual app itself, but let's go ahead and try this now. Yeah, so now we're in section 2. Do we have any mandatory fields on this page? No, we don't. We can go back, however, and just make a selection, and I'm going to say yes to everything. Right. And again, we have to remember entry park. That's going to be important when we get back to the app and want to be able to validate that we have responses. All right. Don't have to remember what the responses are, just the fact that we've actually made some. Okay, and then do I have any mandatory? I probably don't have any mandatory, but I'll just go ahead and enter value. 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 Just a test. Right? Now, can I go to the next page from here? There we go. And now it's telling us you have now completed the exercise. Thank you for doing the survey. Excellent. So now what we're going to do from there is head back to the actual app. Again, this is all simulated. So now we need to go to My Surveys. And we want to check out the end-to-end survey test. And we're looking for entry park as the practice. So we just wait until it loads up the actual practices themselves. Okay, so that's the wrong practice in our case. Right now we're looking for entry park. Now, whether or not you can remember the values that we entered, that's a whole nother story. But we'll just wait for this to return. And excellent. And those are the values that it says, value, yeah, for the free text. Now, I don't recall this section here. And this is important. The name, job title, email, and company number. Now, that is... Did we actually get that being presented to us is the question. So let's have a look on the survey itself, because that would have to be presented for it to be answered. And if we need to go back in and do some cleanup, there it is. It's definitely question number 2. So the good thing for us is that I can actually go back into the survey and see if that data was actually presented, or not so much the data, but the question itself. So I'm just going to come back here and go back. So this would be on page 1. So this is section 2, back, bam. Right. This is here. Right, nothing was entered in here, so I'm just going to come in here and say developer, right? We can overwrite the date. Okay, I'll say 1/1 January 1st, and I'll say 2023. So we've changed that now, and so this is mandatory. Interesting. It's almost as though it doesn't see it has been entered. Now remember, you don't know, is this not normal for you to re-enter the survey after it's been done? But we're just doing that just to be correct. We need to make sure that I entered those values because they weren't showing when we actually went back to the app. So now job type, we definitely know we entered those values on this occasion because they weren't mandatory, you see. So if they're not mandatory, it's okay to bypass that section, but we want to prove that it is possible to capture all the values, and if not, then we need to fix it. Okay, so that's a bit worrying, but again, it's Antry Park, all right, not 11133. Antry Park. Excellent, excellent. So we definitely know we entered that date. We definitely know that those are the values, and the practice name is correct, and all the values remain. And the only reason we went back and entered that was because it wasn't a required section, and the survey allowed us to continue without entering that value. Okay, the only other thing that I am seeing here that's a bit concerning is the questioning. It's almost as though the questioning follows up by some additional data here. Would you like to hear about, and it says eConsult Lite here and staff training here. Let's just double check that just to be clear about what those values look like. Yes, it does actually have eConsult Lite here and staff training. It's just like a multi-statement or multi-question in a single question almost. Right, okay, so that's it. My apologies for the slight technical glitches there. The glitches did not have anything to do with the survey. It was just more like the machine and the freezing off the development environment, which again, that's not something that you're going to need to be concerned about. But the whole idea here is we went for end to end. We were able to create the survey, preview the survey, do the survey, and then find the responses that were submitted for the survey. And that completes the end-to-end survey test. Again, my name is David Blissett. I'd like to thank you for being patient with me during the development of this specific app. It's a single developer. We didn't have any testing resource. So yeah, just had to wear multiple hats to kind of get this done. But the good thing is, there it is. It functions for all different question types. And that means if it does it for a single survey, you can put millions of surveys on here and it'll continue to work and function the same way. And the secondary reason for getting this done is we're handing this work over to the internal team to extend. And so this proves to them as a baseline that the features work. So while they're extending it, if they have any kind of issues, it'll be something they would have introduced and not the baseline system that was supplied. All right, I want to thank you again for watching. Again, my name is David Blissett. Today is the 4th of November 2022. If you do want some further assistance with the development of the system, feel free to contact me via Max20, and we can always do some additional work, whether it be on this app or on future apps as required. Thanks again.